Obviously, we cannot start this episode without acknowledging the loss of Joseph Hudson. The man was known to many as the question mark, or Josephus, was suddenly and unexpectedly taken from us. Josephus passed away on February the 24th. He was an actor. He was a writer. He was a filmmaker. He was a musician. He was a teacher. But more importantly than any of those, the man was a father. Now, currently, there is a GoFundMe account that has been established to pay for the man's final resting expenses. Any funds collected above their goal will be placed into a trust fund for his 10-year-old son. Now, they've already reached their goal of over $15,000. But if you could pay it forward, if you could help, if you could lend a hand, if you could make a contribution of any amount, as these sons will go for his son. As William Patrick Corgan said, the most painful thing about leaving this earth for anyone, but specifically Josephus, would be the pain that his son is feeling. And although whatever we donate doesn't replace his father, doesn't replace that hurt, and doesn't replace that pain, it could help. It could help financially. And if you guys could reach out to the GoFundMe account, it's on all social media. Check it out. We'll also put a link to it in this podcast in the description. Please donate if you can. And now a moment of silence for Joseph Hudson. Rest in power, Josephus. You're gone too soon. Has the world gone mad? Nick Aldis tweeted 6 hours ago a quote from Winston Churchill. Live dangerously. Take things as they come. Dread not. All will be well. Could this have been our world's heavyweight champion acknowledging this chaos that has ensued with the abrupt departure of content from the NWA YouTube channel without really saying something? Or is this something else entirely? Hi, my name is JCal, and this is the Alliance Blog Podcast, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance and the United Wrestling Network. And I don't mean to bury the lead, guys, but the National Wrestling Alliance has recently scrubbed the video from its YouTube channel, leaving many fans to wonder what's next for the NWA. What could this mean for the future of the National Wrestling Alliance? After the break, I'm going to examine why the NWA might have done this, an effort to dismiss why they might have removed the content from their channel. Stay tuned after the break. Can we take just a minute to acknowledge how self-entitled we've become as fans? Do you remember growing up watching wrestling? That we were allowed or given maybe 1 to 2 hours a week? If you grew up young enough, or old enough, I should say, if you grew up when I did, let's say you grew up in the 1980s and the 1990s like I did, well, then you had, WWE Superstars or WWE Challenge on Saturdays and Sundays in syndication. Typically for me, it was on the Fox network. And if you had cable, which not everyone did, but if you had cable, WTBS, you'd get Saturday night. And you'd occasionally get the main event on Saturday mornings. So like 6:05 Eastern, and then I think it was like 9:05 Eastern. You'd get to watch NWA, or later would become WCW, on Turner, right? And then every once in a while we'd get those Saturday night main events. Those usually led up to like the WrestleManias or the big pay-per-views, right? Or Clash of the Champions. Clash of the Champions. also on Turner. And we were so grateful for the rare occurrence that we would get additional content on a Saturday night. And we'd set our VCRs to tape it, or we would just stay up that late and watch it. And if you missed it, guess what? Tough tomatoes. You didn't get to go back and watch it. There was no delivery service. You couldn't order these shows. You could even buy these shows if you missed them. It was just it. That was it. And now we are in a time and place that wrestling is available to you basically 24 hours a day. If you own the WWE network, or if you're on the New Japan Pro Wrestling Network, or if you've subscribed to the High Spots Network, or even like now for free, you can watch wrestling anytime on Pluto, or, or just on YouTube. You can literally just go on YouTube and watch wrestling at any time, any hour, almost any promotion, right? So the NWA just removed your ability to watch that content, and we're losing our minds. I've heard some people indicate they think that the WWE has bought the NWA because they pulled the content. Some people have had the idea that Billy Corgan is just throwing in the towel. That's it. He's done. What a bunch of self-entitled jerks we are. It was just after 10 o'clock on the West Coast when I first got a message regarding the NWA and its YouTube channel. Longtime friend of the show, Chris Drummond, asked me if I had known about the NWA wiping the content off of YouTube. Now, my connections to the National Wrestling Alliance, well, they've diminished over the years. This was all news to me. And the word on the street is that the NWA is actively working to get back into production. I mean, they've been saying it for over a year now, but they keep saying that they're going to get back to it. And we were further led to believe that this was the case when they picked up the contract. They extended the contract for Nick Aldis. Speaking of Nick Aldis, he recently even said on a podcast that the conservative guess for a return to action would be sometime this spring. Now, for what it's worth, the first day of spring is March 20th. Exactly 3 weeks from today. The 20th just also happens to fall on a Saturday, coincidentally enough. So it's a bit expected why the National Wrestling Alliance would wipe its slate clean on YouTube. I mean, we don't know why they decided to do that. So the first thing I did was I jumped on YouTube and began to examine these allegations. And yeah, there's no content available. Not sure what it means, if anything, but the YouTube NWA channel recently removed all content from the page. No more 10 pounds of gold, no more NWA Power, no Shockwave, and lastly, no Carneyland. So, it's not all bad news. Now, the caveat to that is the NWA really officially hasn't deleted these videos. No. Now, I found out by using socialblade.com that you can actually see that the videos have gone private. And at least all of the most recent videos I had checked were private. They weren't deleted. Now, I saw someone else prove this theory by clicking on old links to those YouTube videos. And again, those videos were never said to be missing or deleted, but they were private. And that's important to understand. Because if the videos, they could have removed them for numerous reasons. And maybe this is a precursor to actually deleting them. The good news is, at least for now, the NWA Power series, all 21 episodes, is still available on Fight TV. It's available there for free. Now, there is no 10 pounds of gold or Shockwave. And thankfully, there's no connection to Carneyland. But, again, self-righteous fans, these self-entitled fans thinking that this free content should be available forever. It just isn't. So after sleeping on the implications of what this could mean, I reached out to a few industry insiders to find out what is this all about. And for the record, neither of the men I spoke to have direct involvement with the National Wrestling Alliance, and it would only speak to me under the cloak of anonymity. Easy for me to say. One suggestion is this was just a big giant mess up. Now we're 24 hours into it, or excuse me, we're not even 24 hours into it. We're about now that I think about it, we're just over like 13 hours into this. So, I mean, this could have been just a big oops. But as I look at, the other parts of this and kind of what my initial thought was, is that this means that they've lined up a distribution deal somewhere else. Now, I talked to someone familiar with YouTube and monetizing content. And what they basically said to me is that, YouTube doesn't pay very well. And this isn't really news to anybody. I researched, literally Googled what is the rate that you earn per view on YouTube. Now that number is super flexible, it varies. It varies from time to time. Now, according to InfluenceMakerHub.com, as of August 21st, 2020, the actual rates an advertiser pays varies, usually between 10 cents to 30 cents per view, but averages out at 18 cents per view. So on average, the YouTube channel can receive about $18 per 1,000 ad views, and that equates to about $3 to $5 per 1,000 ad views. Or video views, excuse me. So, if we could assume that the NWA receives the low cost of these per views, I mean, just simple math, 10 cents a view with 100,000 views a month is still about $10,000. But I was told that was actually on the high side. Now, the NWA YouTube channel has 212,000 subscribers currently. And according to Social Blade, the NWA was still averaging roughly 25,000 views a week. Now, keep in mind, guys, they haven't added any new content since December? And before that, it was much longer. So, if you look at what the NWA did in the last, year, they roughly had 100,000 views a month. And those numbers were higher at the peak of NWA Power and even NWA Shockwave, because you have to remember when those shows were filming and airing, week after week, you were getting 200,000, 180,000, 190,000 per episode. When you have a new episode every week, I mean, you're adding on top of that content and your views are going up. And with the inactivity of the NWA, it brings down that average. But if you imagine if we lived in a world where COVID never came and the NWA continued as it was doing, receiving between 200 to 100,000 views per episode, they would have smashed over 100,000 views in a month. They would have smashed over, that 25,000 views a week. Hell, they would kill that. It'd be like let's say if it was just the same numbers as Shockwave, they would be doing still 100K views a week. That's 400,000 a month. That'd be like 480,000 a year, I think. So, needless to say, the revenues from the YouTube channel would be higher if there was more content coming in. And the monetization of the pre-existing content is diminished every day that there isn't new content. Their daily averages have dipped to about 90 cents to $14 a day. The yearly estimates are between $323 and $5,000 a month, or a year, excuse me. Now that's according to Social Blade. And again, these are rough estimates. These aren't facts. These are estimates. Nothing I'm saying here is factual because we don't have facts. Billy Corgan hasn't made an official statement. Not only that, Billy Corgan hasn't made a statement. We haven't heard anything officially from anyone within the National Wrestling Alliance. Even Dave Marquez had to put out a post. Hey guys, I know that you guys think of me as part of the NWA, but I have no idea what's going on with this right now. Now, when the NWA was filming in front of a live studio audience, they had the ability to offset their production cost with ticket sales. General admission, $20 a ticket. VIP tickets, they'd give you $100, and that would include a meet and greet. They were having merchandise regularly, and those, NWA Power didn't really have to be a money-making machine. It was basically a glorified infomercial. Now, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the heck out of NWA Power, and I can't wait for it to return. But you have to remember, whatever it costs to produce that show, they're not getting that money back. Not based on the show's what it's creating. Now, again, it was an ability to advertise, so they could air their commercials for their merchandise. Now, I don't know who exactly was in charge of the merchandise. A lot of people have indicated that it was Maureen, but they had wonderful t-shirts, great shirts, hats, beanies, sweaters, DVDs, pins. I mean, the amount of merchandise that they were producing was phenomenal. And now you couple that merchandise sales with their ticket sales for the live television tapings, along with their pay-per-views that they generated. Again, not only the live gate, but also the merchandise that they were selling at pay-per-views and the pay-per-view numbers themselves. They were generating income. They were generating money. Now, were they breaking even? I don't know. None of us have the financials. Billy Corgan isn't sitting there issuing, statements on his profit and loss for the National Wrestling Alliance. And furthermore, that's none of our business. Remember, the NWA isn't a publicly traded organization. It's not the WWE. They have no responsibility to tell fans whether they were making money or not. If you think it was your right to know what a privately traded company was doing with its financials, well, no, it's not. It's none of your business. That being said, I wouldn't mind knowing, but it's none of our business, guys. And I mean, personally, I talked to David Lagana back in February. He was really excited about the ticket numbers that they were selling for Crockett Cup 2020. They almost sold out that arena, and that was a higher priced VIP tickets. And subsequently, they were offering general admission tickets. And they practically sold that arena out. Plus, there were 2 TV tapings scheduled after that. You have to imagine that the money that they were generating with these live events, right? Not just the TV tapings, but the pay-per-views, and then the pay-per-view buy numbers, and the merchandise, and the meet and greets. I mean, there was money to be made, and it would offset a lot of the production costs that the NWA faced. $800 a month from YouTube isn't going to do it. It just isn't. So, I mean, it's unfortunate that the NWA, the NWA pulled the content from a fan's perspective. What if there was something better coming? What if there was something better and a better opportunity for them? We recently heard about a lot of different wrestling promotions entering, different licensing agreements. I mean, we know that the WWE Network recently put their entire catalog, put their entire network in conjunction with the Peacock Network, right? So now, if you are a member of the Peacock Network, come March, you're going to get the WWE Network completely free. We know that that Impact has always had, not always, but Impact recently created their more and more places for you to see their content, whether it be Twitch, whether it be Pluto. I believe they're also on Pluto, and their YouTube channel as well. I mean, the big one right now, right, is it was just announced recently on Pluto that they started their own pro wrestling channel. I mean, I just pulled it up here on my screen. There's Pro Wrestling Uncharted. There's Extreme Legends. I mean, just looking at the schedule that's coming up here, I mean, I know they have events from Defy Pro Wrestling. I know they have events from PCW Ultra, which is the Los Angeles-based wrestling promotion, the Women's Wrestling Revolution. I mean, there's all kinds of content available, right? There's all kinds of content available on their live TV. Plus, they have on-demand features. So between, Pluto or Tubi, now there's more opportunity. There's more opportunity for shows for wrestling promotions to make money off of their content. And that's a good thing. Hell, that's a great thing. And again, it's interesting to see what will be the next cause of action. A lot of people are still thinking this is very strange. Like, why is this happening? But I'm telling you, like, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. And, as we go further and further on with this, with what's happening with the NWA, again, we don't know specifics, right? We don't know what's going to happen next. We don't know when the next show is going to start. But we do know that, we as fans, we were able to see a lot of content for free. Never once asked for it to be under a pay window. But what if that's the case? I mean, if the NWA does go under a pay window, are you going to stop watching? That's definitely something that could happen. When Dave Marquez started doing the weekly pay-per-views with the National Wrestling Alliance and the United Wrestling Network, they didn't get the same numbers as the free show got. I mean, as disappointing as that is, it's just true. And a friend of the show, Daryl Big Dar 60 on Twitter, he brought up a good point. Major League Wrestling started deleting their older content from YouTube when they got the DAZN deal, that DAZN deal. I hope I'm saying that right, to air their content. Now, it's happened before, and as Daryl said, he wouldn't see the point of deleting everything if they're going out of business. Also, hey, it's Will Daly brought up that point as well. What's the point of deleting it if they're going out of business, if they're closing up shop? If Billy Corgan is calling it a day and putting the NWA to pasture, leaving that up there was just putting a little bit of extra coin in his pocket. Now, keep in mind, he is a millionaire, and maybe he doesn't care about those pennies and dimes, but I can honestly see that if he just recently re-upped Nick Aldis for a contract extension through 2021, at the very least, you'd want something to help offset those costs. By eliminating that content, that's just one less revenue stream coming in. And like I said, the industry insiders, mentioned that maybe this is something big. There were rumors early on that the NWA was going to have some sort of working relationship with the WWE Network. Now, we know that the WWE Network is creating a secondary show for their NXT brand using the Evolve wrestling promotion that they were heavily partnered with. Now, I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's happening. But if it were, could the NWA be a part of the WWE Network, which in turn would be a part of the Peacock Network? This is all speculation, guys. There are no facts here because, again, none of this has been publicly addressed. And friends of the show have said that Nick Aldis is in it. He's mentioned on multiple occasions that the NWA will be back. And we have to kind of take that at face value. No one more than Nick Aldis needs the NWA to return. This is part of his legacy. You guys, this is part of what cements him as the upper echelon of talented wrestlers to hold the 10 pounds of gold, to be NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. No one wants to be the world champion of a dead brand. No one wants to hold a title that holds no meaning in the world of professional wrestling. Us fans, we clamor for the days of Nick Aldis holding that 10 pounds of gold on the Aldis Crusade, going from territory to territory, defending that title. But bear in mind, if the NWA ceases to exist, the legacy of Nick Aldis ceases to exist. Nobody needs this more than Nick Aldis. As much as we want NWA power, Nick Aldis needs NWA power. So I am confident, I am most assured that the NWA will return. And I'm most assured that we'll be talking NWA very, very soon. Thanks again for tuning in to the Alliance Blog Podcast, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you won't miss any future episodes? We'd also like to remind you that we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific on YouTube at the Alliance Blog. And you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, TikTok, and Twitch at the Alliance Blog. Remember, absorb what is useful, reject what is useless, add what is essentially your own. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.